Freaking mornings. Give me pins.
Bittida en morgon innan solen upprann, innan fåglarna började sjunga. Bergatrollet friade till fagerunger Sven. Hon hade en falskeliger tunga. Herr Mannelig, Herr Mannelig,
God, it's hot water. Ow.
falskeliger tunga. Herr Mannelig, Herr Mannelig, tro loven i mig, för det jag bjuder så gärna. I kunden väl svara endast ja eller nej, om i viljen eller ej. Heder vill jag giva de gångare 12 som gå ut i rosende lunde. Aldrig har det varit någon sadel upp på den, ej heller betsel ut i munnen. Herr Mannelig, Herr Mannelig, tro loven i mig, för det jag bjuder så gärna. I kunden väl svara endast ja eller nej, om i viljen eller ej. Heder vill jag giva de kvarnarna 12 som står mellan Tillö och Tärnö. Stenarna det är av rödaste guld och hjulen silverbeslagna. Herr Mannelig, Herr Mannelig, tro loven i mig, för det jag bjuder så gärna. I kunden väl svara endast ja eller nej, om i viljen eller ej.
Yes, Professor Hemmingsworth. Yes, I'm leaving. I'm going out. No, you can't come with. Hey everybody, it's me, Eric, and first off I just want to wish everybody a happy Halloween! So, I personally had forgotten that today was Halloween. I wouldn't have known unless in class yesterday, one of my friends had reminded me like, hey, you going out on Halloween? So some of you would be like, what? You forgot Halloween? How? In my defense, Halloween in the United States and Halloween in Norway look completely different in terms of decoration. I think Americans are just a wee bit more enthusiastic about the decorations that they put up. So putting Halloween decorations aside for the moment, what's been happening for the past 2 months for me? Well, I flew out and I got to Norway like middle of August, August 19th I think. I arrived here after a very long and very uncomfortable plane ride. I touched down in the Kristiansand airport, which by the way is a really small airport. I didn't even know we were landing at an airport until we had actually landed. All I thought was the pilots were just like, today's a good day to die, and then they just like started flying into forests. I'm like, whoa bro, what are you doing? Once I got out at the Kristiansand airport, we got out on the tarmac. I had met the other American exchange student who was doing this whole thing in Norway, and then together we went to the baggage claim to get all of our, you know, baggage. Once we got our baggage, we then went to go meet our host families. A few of her host family came there to greet her, and she went away with them. And then my host mom, Nina, was there, and I greeted her, we said hi. We got my baggage, put it in the car, and then we drove up to my home here in Vennesla, which is... it's pretty great! Once I got to my house, after she gave me like a little mini tour of the house, and after I called my parents and were like, hey, I'm not dead, the first thing I wanted to do was take a nap, because there's an 8-hour time difference between here and Utah. We're 8 hours ahead here. So I'm a time traveler. So all my friends back in Utah, I know what's going to happen before you do. I did end up taking a nap, but only for like about an hour. Nina's like, no, you can't go to sleep until 9 or 10 o'clock at least. I'm like, how dare you? After about an hour, she had woken me up. There were some of my host sister's friends there who wanted to meet me, and I met them. They were really, really nice. One of them, Stina, had actually done an exchange year in Utah. So, yeah. Later that day, I had met my host dad, Avon, and then I met two of their daughters. They're older than they don't live with us now, Milena and Celia. Then I also met their husbands/boyfriends and their kids and stuff. After that, I didn't do too much. The next week I was mainly spending just, getting used to a new country. I did not actually meet my host sister Frida until the following Monday, because she was off in Cyprus. And when she came back, she had a terrible cold, and then, it stayed a long time. Like, I didn't know her. Like, for the first 2 months I've been here, like, I didn't know her without a cold. So once school had started, I was attending a high school down in Kristiansand, called Kristiansand Kontatorskolegimla, or KKG. It's pretty nice. Like all the students and the teachers and stuff, they were really, really nice. But when I came, I was kind of expecting, like, oh, could be in a new country doing foreign exchange. And no, I'm expecting to be a little unprepared. I didn't expect the school to be more unprepared than I was, though. Most of my teachers didn't have any records or anything that I was going to be there at all. And I was actually put into an IB program, or an International Baccalaureate program. And it was supposed to be an international program, so everybody spoke English. I'm like, that's kind of lame. But, whatever. I'm in Norway, so I don't care. But everybody who was in there had been in Norway for, like, at least 3 years. They were either Norwegian or had moved here a long time ago. So everybody spoke fluent Norwegian. And, I thought that was great. I was like, okay, that's cool, but, eventually I'll learn it. But then all of the international teachers, like the International Baccalaureate teachers, came in. They're like, oh, all my students speak fluent Norwegian, so, like, whatever. And then they would come in and just, more as a formality, like, alright, who doesn't speak Norwegian, not expecting? I'm like, I don't. And they're like, oh, dang it. And then they had to speak English for the classes, but they weren't really good at English. So it kind of sucked, because they weren't speaking Norwegian, so I wasn't really learning any Norwegian. And then I was still getting just as confused, because their English was terrible. So it wasn't too great. And so I actually decided to switch schools, like a week and a half in. So instead of going to the school down in Kristiansand, now I attend a different school. It's a lot smaller. It's just the high school here in Vennesla, or not high school, they call it Videregående. And I do say that I think I like the school in Vennesla a lot better than the one in Kristiansand. It's really nice now having to travel a freaking long ways every day to and back from school. Now it's not nearly as far as in Vennesla. And yeah, it's a really nice school. I've made a lot of friends there. Everybody's super nice. I think at first everybody was kind of a little bit nervous around me, but I've also noticed that's just kind of Norwegians in general. Whereas Americans, you have, people who, like, you'll be at a bus stop, people will go up to you and be like, hey, how you doing? My name is Joe McAmerica, and I love freedom. But then you have people in Norway who really just don't talk to each other unless, like, they know each other. And so when you're a new student in a school, I feel like they're kind of a lot more quiet around you until they get to know you and they get a lot more comfortable around you. That's been more of the schooling aspect for me. There was kind of a brief moment at the school in Kristiansand where they did have some records of me. I'll give them that credit. But they changed my last name to the last name of my host family. So it got kind of confusing, because they were calling the roll and they're like, Erik Amundsen. I'm like, oh, that's kind of ironic. My name's Eric and my host family's last name is Amundsen. Then, like, 5 minutes later, I'm like, wait! But when they transferred me to Vennesla, the school records they transferred with actually had my last name, so I was like, okay, well, that's great. except for just a little bit. We have like a lot of school computers that we have to use, and so we get assigned logins for them. And from, it's pretty easy to tell. The first part of your login is just the first 2 letters of your first name and then the first 2 letters of your last name. So by that, my login should be ERHO, but they've still kept the last name of Munson on that part, so my login is EROM right there. And I'm like, well, that's alright. You almost got it. A for effort, though. So now that I've talked about school, I'm going to talk about stuff that's more exciting than learning. Yay! While I've been here, I've been doing a little bit of outdoor recreational activities with my host dad, Øyvind. The first thing we did is he showed me roller skiing. Now, I don't know about any of you back in Utah, but I'd never heard of roller skiing. I was like, when he talked to me, he's like, oh yes, we can still go skiing. I'm like, oh well, it's the summer, no, I know it's Norway, there's gonna be snow somewhere, but we'd have to go pretty far for that. He's like, no, we can just go roller skiing. I'm like, what? But no, it's totally a thing. You go skiing on asphalt and hope you don't fall down and die. But despite that, it's actually really, really fun. I'm obviously still not very good at it. We also went bicycling once, and that was really fun. The thing with bicycling, though, well, the thing with any sport really, is bicycling. What's the best part about bicycling is going downhill, right? Because that's when you're really gonna go fast, and you're like, well, it's, fun stuff. But in order to go downhill, you have to go uphill. And Norway is a really, really hilly, mountainy country. So there's not really a lot of flat stretches of road that you just gotta relax on. No, it's like, you better work, boy. Just pop my jaw. Ow. What even sucked more was the bicycling shoes, because we did the clip pedal things. The bicycling shoes, I could fit my feet into them, but they were still really small. And I'd actually injured my toe maybe a couple days before I'd actually flew out to Norway. But it's a toe injury, so you're like, oh, whatever. I'm a tough dude, I'm a man. But going up super steep hills with an injured toe while wearing a shoe that's way too small for you isn't fun. And just going uphill isn't fun. And anyone who's like, oh, I bicycle and I love going uphill, you're a liar. I'm gonna just say it, I think you're lying. No one enjoys uphill. Speaking of shoes that are just a little bit too small, I joined the American football team in Kristiansand, and I was really stoked for that. I came to Norway and I was not expecting to be playing American football, but one of the players, he came up to me during lunch when I was going to while I'm going to Venezuela, and he's like, hey, I heard you're American. I'm like, hey, you heard right. He's like, oh, well, do you play football? And, I was talking about normal European football, the soccer, and I was like, oh, no, I'm pretty terrible at it. He's like, oh, no, American football. I'm like, oh, yes. So then me and one of the players and his girlfriend, we actually went to a place called Sørlandsenteret, which is the biggest, I don't know if it's the biggest shopping center in Norway, but I know it's the biggest shopping center in Sørland, or southern Norway, where I am. And he had made a bet with me. He was like, hey, I bet you that, if we found shoes, not just cleats, any shoes that you could fit into, then I had to buy him dinner. But if we couldn't, then he was supposed to buy me dinner. And we went to every store in that center that sold any type of shoes. And when we would go and ask the worker, hey, do you have shoes these size? They would at first laugh and think we were joking, and their eyes would widen and be like, wait, are you serious? Then he would point to my shoes, and they're like, oh my lords! Needless to say, he bought me dinner, and I enjoyed it. I ate every bite. In your face! Now, back to football really quick. So, our team is our team was very, very small. And we couldn't, a lot of times a lot of the players wouldn't show up to games. So the first game we played a team from a really, really rich community outside of Oslo called Ballroom, which is I don't know, it's like the Beverly Hills of Norway. But there's a bunch of rich kids. So we ended up beating them, but I didn't get to play in that game because, from what I was told, because I'm an American and I had played competitive football back in the United States, then they had to get like they had to fill like special licensing information for me to play. And I was like, dang it. You know, I won't be able to play for another 2 weeks after this. And so we filled out all the information while I was there, and then I stayed there, cheered on my team, we won, yay. And then I found out at the next practice, so like, okay, let me go back a little bit. So one of my coaches, after we filled out the information, he had called whoever, I think it was like the Norwegian American Football League, he called them and was like, hey, we have this player, we filled out his licensing information. And they're like, okay, that's good. And then they called him back on Sunday, so it was the day after the game, and they were like, yeah, so those are the rules, we do have to do that, but we're actually not enforcing those until next year, which pretty much means I totally could have played, and I was like, nah! So that was very irritating. And then 2 weeks later, we were supposed to play a team, we were supposed to go up to Oslo to play a team there, but then we didn't have enough players, so then we originally canceled the game, then we decided to reschedule it. And then the week after that, we played another team from Oslo. Oslo's got a lot of teams, by the way. We played another team from the Oslo area, from a place called Vålerenga, and they beat us. That was the one game I played in, but they beat us. It was, yeah. And then the week after that, we were supposed to go to Stavanger to play a team there, but we didn't have enough players. And then the week after that, we were supposed to go back up to Oslo to play our rescheduled game, but we didn't have enough players. So then the age league that I was in pretty much just got disbanded, and because there was too little of us, and then all of the guys who were in it, they then got transferred to the senior team. But I don't think the seniors, like the senior season, like their practicing stuff, I don't think it starts until next year actually, so I won't be doing anything with football for a little while. And yeah, that's been about the gist of what I've been doing here, you know, aside from having to learn a new language and stuff, but that's pretty great. So yeah, that's about a summary of it. Aside from that, just spending time with friends, just working on individual like personal projects and stuff like that. I do have to say it's really freaking awesome here. I do love Norway a lot. I think I like Norway a lot better than Utah in terms of like location and stuff. Obviously, I still like miss my friends and stuff back in Utah. It's okay, guys. I love you. But I can't wait to, you know, finish out the rest of this time and just see what waits for me in store. So I did in my last video promise that I was going to speak Norwegian the second part of the video. So that's gonna happen. Don't know how long that's gonna be. We'll see how long I can rant in Norwegian. That's gonna be fun. It's still fairly early. No, it's not early. I woke up really late. It's 1:04 right now. I don't know if I'm gonna be going out today or doing anything. If I do, I'll film some of that. Maybe get some interviews with indigenous personnel, and then yeah, we'll go from there. And then I'll upload this by tonight. So if you're in Norway and watching this, it's not gonna make too much sense because you'll probably not watch it until tomorrow. And then when I'm like, Happy Halloween, you're gonna be like, he's stupid. Halloween was yesterday. But if you're watching this in the United States, it's gonna make perfect sense. Aside from me speaking in Norwegian. Anyway, let's get to it! Hallo, alle sammen. Først, jeg beklager for min norsk. Det vil ikke være så bra, men jeg vil gjøre besten min. Jeg tenker mest at dere forstår engelsk, så jeg vil ikke fortelle hva jeg har allerede sier. Jeg vil takke dere fordi du har vært så hyggelig for meg. Dere har la meg inn i livet deres, så på grunn av deres å komme til Norge har gjort meg ikke så redd. Jeg er allerede venner med mange deres, og jeg håper å bli venner med flere dere. Så mange takk skal dere ha for å velkomme meg til Norge. Spesielt vokstfamilien min. Du har vært så flink og flott. Og jeg vet ikke. Jeg er ute av ting å snakke om. Så ja, til neste gang.